Hi everybody, Alisamurray here with the Sweet Life DIY. In this week's episode, we're going to be turning these little planters with the faces into some sassy gals. I've taken the time to go ahead and go through my jewelry box and collect little outfits for the girls, little feathers and different things for their hair, and then we're going to be adding the plants once we get done painting their faces. You can purchase these little faces on the Amazon store, but I did not like their eyes shut, and so I had a different idea about how I wanted to transform them for my house and for my garden. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take one of the girls' faces, and I've brought my brushes down from the art department. We have a little room upstairs that we use for all of our art supplies, and I'm going to grab a brush that I think might be a good fit. I think this one may be a good fit for the first start of it. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take some white. This is just acrylic paint. It's nothing special. And steady your hand and fill out that eye. So you're going to do an eye like that. Kind of make a half moon with it. And then you're going to want to fill in the corner. And fill in the other corner. You're going to want to do the same thing to the other eye, obviously. Just make like a little half moon with your brush, and then fill in the corner. On both sides. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to decide what color you want her eyes to be. And since I've got 4 ladies, I'm going to do each of their eyes a different color. So the first one, let's do her eyes blue. So I'm going to take a little bit of white and a little bit of blue, and I'm going to get the right shade of blue that I want to get and mix those together. And I've been painting for a long time, so one of the things that I'll tell you, a little trick, is to twirl your brush, and especially when you're doing eyes, because we have all those different variations of colors in our eyes, the trick is going to be to keep that with that on the brush so that you've got a little bit of dark and a little bit of light. You're going to make a circle initially. All right, do the same thing here. Fill in your circle, and you see how all those colors kind of blended together. So I'm going to show you how to fix that in just a second. But you do want your base coat to be whatever color your eye is going to be for your face. Remember that we're all built asymmetrical. We'd like to think we're not, but we are. So if you don't get your circles exactly the same, that's just going to make your face look special and unique. So that's not something I want you to worry about. Then I want you to take a smaller brush, an itty bitty brush, and I want you to pick up a little bit of brown and a little bit of white and blend that up so that you've got kind of a light brown color. You'll notice I've been doing all this dry brush, so that's what that means, is that I'm not dipping it into water and watering it down. I want the consistency of the paint to be the exact same as it comes right out of the tube. It's easier to work with that way. You want to come in and do a little flecks of brown here and there. Then what you want to do is get a smaller brush, like a really little itty bitty brush like this, tiny brush, and you want to come back in with your darker part of your blue. You want to paint from the outside to the inside a little bit of, and then inside to the outside, almost like you're making a star. Kind of blend in with that brown. Just a few dark areas of the blue. See what I'm doing, guys? I'm putting a little bit of like little lines in there, like that. This is a good project for y'all to do, even with the children. I think that enjoy this. This is a fun afternoon to spend with the children. Especially since after they get done putting the face on their person, their little lady, or their man, they could turn it into a man if they wanted to. They can plant a plant in there, and then they'll have something that they can go out and water and look forward to seeing each day. Succulents do real well in Texas in the kitchen too, in the house. As long as they've got a little bit of sunlight, they do very well there. Texas sun is really hot, so sometimes that doesn't work out so good. The next thing I want you to do is get that same little brush and grab yourself a little black paint and make your pupil for your eye. Now this one is important that you have the same size circle, because if you've got one eye dilated and the other eye not dilated, as we all know in real life, there might be something wrong with you. So you definitely want your eyes to look. The blue part doesn't have to be exactly perfectly even, but the irises need to be the same size in the center, if that makes any sense to you. Now what they've done here when they made these is they actually went in and they carved this in, and then it looks like they've rubbed some paint in here. And that's fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a different brush stroke across the top for their eye, the top of the eye and the eyelashes. So I'm going to get another small brush. Actually, I may be able to just twirl this one. And go very, very careful, because this is where you can really mess up. Use your pinky finger to hold it down. Come in here and paint a thin line across the top of the eyeball that you've just made. Just like that. Twirl it again. Get all the paint off of that brush. Just get it on the very tippy tip. Use your pinky to ground yourself so that you don't lose your footing on it. And go slow. You don't have to be in a rush. But just take it across the top of that eye. And girls, if y'all are doing this with me, you know it's just almost like putting on eyeliner. Just like that. Connect the two. That looks pretty well connected. Okay, so now we've gotten the top part of that eye done. And now what I want to do is the same thing. Clean off that brush, get a good tip on it, tiny tippy tip. And again, ground your finger on that head so that you can see, and follow along the way of what has already been made on these planters. You don't have to be perfect, but you do want to be thin about it because it needs to match. Take your time. Don't worry about rushing. Nobody's in a rush. As you go to the edge of the eye, just like you do when we're doing our makeup, go ahead and draw that line out just a little bit longer than what you would normally do from the center, just like our eyelashes are normally formed. If you get too much paint on there, don't be afraid to come back in and twirl it, clean it off, and start over again so that you've got a thinner line. Just like that. Okay, I'll go back and do the other eye in a minute. I want to go ahead and do the lips to show you how to do that. And then I've got several faces that I'm going to do. I've got the 4 faces, so I'm going to get all 4 of them done for you using different color schemes. This pretty mama is going to have red lips, so you just come in here, get another brush, get yourself some paint. Just get the hair off this brush, so that's not good. Okay. Now we've got, her lips are already in there. You see how they've made them there? What you want to do is follow that line that's already there and put some lipstick on her. Kind of like we do, ladies. You know, you start out with your lipstick in the middle and then work your way out. And if you use your brush the way I'm doing it right here and brush over it going outward, it's going to be easier for you too, because that lip is already there for you. So all you got to really be careful about is that top lip, getting it cut in right, and then just filling it in just like that. So there you go, guys. We're going to finish these up. I'm going to do one with green. I'm going to do with brown. I'm going to do another eye that's a hazel colored eye, more hazily gray and not so blue. And I'll get all the faces painted for you, and then we'll put the planner together and all the decorations on the girls. I'll see you soon. Okay, everybody, so now I've gotten all of the ladies' faces painted. I did their eyelashes, I made their eyes. There's a few little finishing touches that I'm going to want to do with these once we get the plants put in to their eyes. I'll show you that detail in a little bit. But the next step is to go through your jewelry box and find anything that's broken that you think you might want to use, because there's not really any other way to use it anyway. So why not use it on something cool like this? So I went through and found some stuff that was just sort of random and broken, little stones and stuff that was just in the jewelry box. And I've got my E6000, and I'm going to just start gluing those onto the ladies' heads. So this first little mama has just a little diamond stud. And so you want to just put a little drop on that ear, just like that, and kind of look and see. I did go ahead and put one ear bob on each of their faces so that we were a little bit ahead of the game for this part of the video. And you're going to want to let it sit there for a little bit for it to set up. It won't take very long. But what I've been doing is I had them balanced, actually. See if I can balance them again. Yeah, that'll work. All right, she's got a turquoise stone. Now this, actually, I bought a packet of those stones at the craft store. And for two of the girls, I've got stones that are just out of that. So they're just real cheap little stones that you can buy in a packet with different colors. And so I matched them up. And I just went through my craft closet and my art room, and I picked stuff that I already had. We already have the paint here all the time anyway. And we have stones and feathers. Of course, y'all know me with my feathers. I'm always decorated, and I always try to keep feathers in my wig or some sort of a decoration on, because the children, I realized through the years, the babies that come see me to be photographed, they have a whole lot better time finding my face with all the flashes and stuff if I've got a flower or a feather or something stuck in my wig. So that's how that started. And then it kind of became my signature. So all the children were like, Auntie A, what's in your hair today? And so I started changing it up and putting birds in there and different things and feathers and whatnot. So there's a lot of that. And then I started making my own fascinators because I couldn't find what I wanted to match my outfit. So I just bought felt and headbands, and we'll do that one afternoon too. As I was going through and working on some different projects, I cleaned up a bunch of stuff in my fascinators, and I've got a few that need to be repaired. So I'm going to show you how to make them and how to do that in a different episode. Well, like I said, you have to hold this on for just a little bit and let it set up. And then what I'll do is get her balanced. Maybe on this, nope, maybe that cup will be better. A little bit more sturdier. You want to balance her so that that ear bob, there she goes, that ear bob will stay on there long enough for it to set up. The E6000 glue is amazing. It works really quick, but it does need a few minutes to get everything glued in. And you only need just a little dollop of it. So this little girl is going to have some purple earrings. I wanted to do purple because I had this really groovy purple feather. It's a pom-pom. I only had one left over from all of my fascinators and stuff. Purple's my birthstone. Purple's the logo for Alisamurray's Sweet Life because it's my Aunt Lona's favorite color, and she wore purple every day. Purple pants, purple sweaters, purple cardigans, purple, purple, purple. And I was about an hour and 20 minutes late to being born on my granny's birthday, my mother's mother. And we always celebrated our birthdays together because I was just late and was supposed to be born on the 19th of February. And she always wore a big old amethyst ring. And it was just, growing up, purple was our color. So that's set. I'm just going to lay her right there. She'll do just fine laying right up. See that? You have to leave it there just long enough. There we go. I think it's going to stay like that. Okay, last one for the ear bobs. I found these cute little dangly earrings that were from when my daughter was really little, and we had a couple of chains that were broken. You can see that on this one, but these are our planters. So personally for me, if you've got a piece of jewelry, if it's missing a stone or something, that's sort of the unique beauty of all of this, is that you're able to have some really cool use for something that otherwise you might just be throwing away. So at least you could find a second home for it by using it for something like this. And it's a really nice little project, I think. They're turning out exactly the way I had envisioned. It is quite a bit of work, I won't lie to you. Planning out their outfit, figuring out their faces, waiting for their faces to dry, putting on their earrings, getting them all decorated. It's definitely not a 20-minute project. It's a full afternoon. But it's worth it because you'll be enjoying these girls, we should say. We'll be enjoying these girls for a long time. Plus, the other thing that's kind of nice about it too is that they are so unique that they're going to become probably a conversation piece in your home. Because, there's always something that somebody has that you remember from their house. And I remember growing up, I used to go to my mom's best friend's house. Her name is Ellen McGinnis. And her whole house was just full of magic. Every room had something cool going on. And the kitchen's all painted in a mural. And I'm watching these earbobs as I'm talking to you because we can't do anything else until they're set. And we would go to her house and Santa Claus would come and we'd bring a little doll baby. And he would take those doll babies and give it to a child that might not have gotten a Christmas. And we'd have our teddy bears and we'd have our tea and we'd have these cookies. And every time we go to Ellen's house, there was always some really neat thing she was working on. Before Mama got killed, they were doing angels together and little baby Moseses. Listen to me talking about Moseses. Little baby Moses was 1 year's project that they did together for Vacation Bible School. They took a little walnut and put a little baby in there and put a little blanket on it. And I remember having that in my jewelry box my whole entire childhood. But there's always something that was an eye catcher, whether it would be an angel on the piano at Christmas time or something that she was working on. And she always has projects going. And this is just one of those things that I just feel like it's so much nicer from what we bought it as, just a plain planner with the eyes shut. These girls are really going to be fantastic when we're done. I'm really, really going to be happy with them. Plus, I'm happy to get this jewelry used too. So, all right, let me see. Who did we start with? We started with Little Miss Diamond, and her diamond is pretty well set enough we can work. So the next thing I want to do with this one is I want to put a bracelet around her neck, and I'm not going to even glue it. I'm just going to put it on her neck so that if I decided later on that I wanted to actually use this bracelet, I would be able to use the bracelet and I would not have messed up the jewelry. And these necks are perfectly suited for that. So that is her decoration so far. And then I'm going to see who's next. Let's see. Little Miss Purple. Got a little dirt on her, but Little Miss Purple, she needs to have this necklace. And this little necklace is the same situation. It's not broken, so I'm not going to break it. I'm just going to put it around her neck. And I'm going to see if I can... Actually, that little latch is broken. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that E6000 maybe. Let's see. Let me think about this for a second, how I want to do this. I think what I want to do with this one is see if I can figure out a way to get that chain off. And it breaks right off. That's perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that chain, and now I'm going to hold on to her actually. I'm going to put a drop of glue back here on her neck and another drop of glue back here on her neck. So there's 2 drops of glue. And then I'm going to take this necklace, this piece of what was a necklace, and wrap it around. And then I'm going to hold it down on that glue until it sets up. So let me see if I can get my fingers in the right position for that. And hold her there for a second. Okay, I put a bunch of glue on that, so we'll see if it's going to hold. I'm going to keep an eye on it because I want this stuff to set up while I'm showing it to you. Little Miss Priss right here that's got the gold ear bobs that I told you about, she's going to get one of my bracelets, and I'm just going to take one of those just right around her neck, just like that, and make a choker, kind of a shawl. The nice thing about using some of your bracelets too is that if you want to use them again, you can just take them off their necks and use them and then put them back on their necks. So, but the broken jewelry was my original idea because I thought, well, what's a better use than that? I mean, like, I'm not going to be able to do anything with it anyway. So I might as well figure out a way to, you know, make a good use of it. So there's that. All right, so now this one's going to react the same way as that other one did because it's a broken piece. So I'm going to need to put a bunch of glue on her and get her all glued in. So I'm going to do that. That one's holding back there. Fingers crossed that she stays. This E6000 is really good stuff. It's sticky and it works really good. But just so you know, if you do decide to do this project and you do decide to use broken jewelry, you need to put a bunch. So, I mean, like a bunch. Put a big old glob of it on there, because it's going to need to have it to hold that in place while we're waiting for it to set up. So I'm going to get this wrapped around her neck and stick this in that glue. And I'm going to hold it for just a minute and let it set up. So I've got everybody glued in, got the necklaces glued on, I've held them in place so that they're all in place like they need to be. Ear bobs are on, everybody's ready. I've gone ahead and filled their heads with dirt. So I'll show you. The succulent the succulent soil is in their heads. And so the next step is going to be to put their hair on. So this one is going to get this hair. So I'm going to just take this and move her over here to the side for a second. I'm just going to gently push the succulent out of its container. And these guys are root bound, as you can see. So they're ready to go into the dirt. I'll loosen that up a little bit. Get some of that dirt off of there. I really want to break this in half so I can work with it a little bit better. Do that. Okay, so I'm going to put the succulent into her head, like so. Okay. Pull out the roots, tuck them in, get that piece of hair back in there, dust everybody off. Get everybody in there nice and tight. I'm going to turn her around here so I can see what you're seeing. Get that dirt out of the way for a second. All right, so I'm going to work on her head for just a second. Dust her off. So that's the first one. We're going to do the decorations at the very end. So then the second one with the amethyst earrings that I told you earlier reminds me of my grandmother and my Aunt Lona. Just going to get this spun hair. So when you think about doing this project, you want to think about what their hair is going to look like. So try to find the succulents that are either going to stand straight up and look funky or cascade down eventually over their faces like real hair. Get that put in. And let me dust off the dirt. And see what you're seeing. Let's see, the dirt dusted off. Don't be afraid to push it down in there. You can always go back over your planters and actually water and wipe so that you've got a little bit of a cleaner face. All right, so there's number 2. Here's number 2. So there she is. And then I'm going to do number 3. I'm going to clean this up just a second because things are getting a little messy over here in the Sweet Life kitchen. You know, Auntie A doesn't like too messy, so I have to clean that up. I'll put that in a little pile. I'll do that in a minute. All right, here's the next one. So this one is going to have this kind of hair. So I'm going to gently nudge this out of its container too and break those roots up a little bit. Get me some hair. Try to be a little bit neater. It's not really any neat way to do it though, guys. It's just the way it is. Okay, I think this is going to be a better for the front of her hair. So I'm going to start in the back and shove forward and get this pushed down in there just like that. Shove that one down in there too. Okay, so that's, we go around the sides, check on the back. Okay, that one looks real good. Okay. And now the last one, I'm going to take from my actual succulent bed that I have over here. And she's going to have some hair that looks like this. And there's another one that's grown kind of tall that I'm going to set down here in the very back. And there's one more right here. I'll pull out of there. And I'm going to try to fit that one in right in that corner. Just like that. So she's got 3 pieces that are going to stick up just like that. Now, I'm going to dust everybody off. And do a little bit of cleanup over here. And then I'm going to show you the finishing touches. So the last 2 steps of this project involve putting on their last decorations. And you know, we were talking earlier about me and my wig and how I always wear my little doodahs in my wig so that my babies smile for me in the studio. And I just thought when I saw these little face planters that that was the perfect thing to do to them too. So I've got everything lined up the way I want it for them. So this little mama with the turquoise ear bobs is going to get a turquoise feather that I'm going to sit down in here like that, and another one like that, or maybe in the middle actually. I'll just tuck it in there like that and come back in here like that. Let's see. I think I'm going to like it better like that. Get that feather in the front. And then I've got a little earring that another one that was, a couple of stones were missing in one of them. And so I'm going to actually take this and I'm going to glue it and stick it right on top of those feathers. So she's got a little sparkle right there. So that's going to set just like that and be glued to the feather.
to give it a second to set up. Y'all know how that does. It's got to be set up. So she's gonna set up like that while we work on the next one. This little mama that has the gold is actually gonna get the yellow. And that's why I left her a little spot right here. You see that little spot that I left in her hair? Because the way this feather goes, I want to set it down into the succulent, straight down in there, like that. And then I'm going to come into her face, and I've got a couple little things I want to add over here. So I'm going to take a little bit of this glue, and I'm going to glue a flower right there. And then I'm going to glue another little flower beside it. And then I'm going to put another one down here underneath it. Like that. Okay. And then I'm going to take a little bitty teensy bit of glue, just a dollop of it. And I've got a little butterfly. If you squeeze their little wings, I'm going to set it right down there and glue it to the tippy top of that succulent. So there's what she looks like. And she remembers the one, guys, that's wearing my bracelet that you can just take right back off and wear again if you want to. And let that butterfly set. This glue is fantastic when it sets, but it does take a minute to set up. And I want that butterfly to sit just like that. So I'm going to hold him there for just a second. See if I can get him to stick. Okay, so there she goes. So there's number 2. Number 3, remembers the one that has the amethyst earrings, and she's the one that reminds me of Granny and my Aunt Lona. And I'm just going to take that and shove it straight down into her head and let that be like that. And I've got a red one for number 4. And so number 4, these feathers, guys, I just found in my closet. I have feathers everywhere because of me making all those fascinators and all of that jazz. There's always feathers in the house and in the studio. We use them to tickle the children to get them to smile. So there's always feathers. And these were just pieces of feathers that were left over from other projects and whatnots. And I thought, why not just put this to good use? So I don't know what you guys think, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to turn everybody around. These girls are pretty snazzy, and they look a lot better, I think, than the way they were when they were bought. The last step that I want you to do is I want you to come into the eyeball on each of the girls. Grab a Sharpie or a calligraphy pen or something that you can use that's black. And all I want you to do is I want you to connect that that pupil rather. Draw yourself a line all the way to the other side of that eyeball. Give yourself a pretty straight line. And just darken that in right there, because that one little piece of detail is going to make that eyeball pop and just make them look that much better. You see the difference between that eye and that eye. This just needed a little extra. So you just go in again, just take a little marker. Doesn't have to be permanent. It can be whatever you've got in your children's closet or whatever you've got in your own art room in your house. But just grab a marker and fill that spot around each one of those eyeballs so that they're more defined. Like that. So I'm going to do that to the other 3 girls in just a minute. But I wanted you to see these because when I saw these guys, I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I just know I've got a neat project that'll be a talk for the children, be something fun for the kids to do. They'll be enjoying watering them, watching them grow. You can even name them if you wanted to, and just decorate them with stuff that you find around the house. Like I said, most of this stuff, all of this stuff was just from found objects and things in my jewelry box that were not going to be done anything but thrown away or just sitting there doing nothing. So this is a fantastic way to create something really cool from what you saw me start with. So remember, the first step is going to be to get the faces painted. The second step is going to be to attach all the jewelry. The third step is to go ahead and fill their heads with the dirt once all the paint's dried, the jewelry's dried on. Then go in and do your final touches with your eyeballs and your decorations. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys found value in this, please do me a favor and like and share. And don't forget to ring that bell so that you're notified whenever we have the next episode. I'll see you soon.